got about 14 in the waiting room. So welcome everybody to our November 14th board meeting. Appreciate all the continued attendance at our meetings and active engagement. So I will be sure to review our agenda. And we have a packed agenda tonight, just keeps filling up. So lots of activity for this evening as we get ready to head into the holiday season. So let's see what we got tonight. All righty, so we are going to quickly kick off with any public input and comments. We have a couple of folks that we want to introduce tonight that are with us that are interested in becoming board members. So we have one here in the room, Kate. Hi, nice to see you. So we'll set aside some time for that in the public comment period. Of course, open up for public comments as always. We do have minutes to approve. So the last time we met was October 10th. So we'll just get those approved. And then Heather has her robust report with all sorts of wonderful information and updates. Again, for all of you online, a couple of quick tips. Please do follow along at our board docs site. Our agenda is updated up to the minute with new additions, couple of different votes that we're doing tonight. So those are captured there. One of which is our updated budget and a few other votes. We're also excited to hear from our low L teachers this evening. So they'll be doing a bit of a presentation, the assistant principals, the APs, and they will be doing a quick presentation for us about all things happening in lower L. So this is part of our series of deep dives that we've been having throughout the year to hear a little bit more about what's going on in the classrooms. And some other operational updates, as always, an update on our big rocks, our school goals. And I do believe we have some time to look at the website this evening as a focus as well, right? So excited about that. Some evolution on the website. I know Stephen is here with us, and that'll be great to take a look at that. Then we will segue into the finance update, the PTO update. Anything that we want to talk about with committees, touching on our board goals, talking a little bit about, again, the board selection process, as we do have some interested folks, which is always exciting. And anything that Stacy would like to share, words of wisdom from Stacy tonight, as always. So, anything I missed there? Okay, sound like a full agenda. Okay. Let's do this thing. Okay, so we are going to talk about, first and foremost, public comment, and I'm going to just do a quick check on who's in our Zoom room right now to see if we have any of our interested folks. Looks like we've got Scott there. So I am going to throw it over to Scott. If you are hearing us and with us, I know you are interested. You have submitted your resume and cover letter. Thank you for interest in potentially joining the board. So Scott, do you want to come on and say hi? Are you in a good spot to do that?
I think I am. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, great. Yes, we can hear you.
Fantastic. I do apologize ahead of time. I did not want to miss this, and I was leaving an event that I had to be at, so I rushed over on two wheels and pulled into a Starbucks, but I found myself safely here. So I'm good to go. I'm trying to get the camera working here in a minute, but yeah, I'm delighted to be here. Thank you all for letting me join and attend. Certainly have a high level of interest. I guess what I can say, Kristen, just from a brief introductory perspective, I was introduced to this opportunity through Brett Casey, someone I've known for quite some time. As you all know, Brett is fantastic. So the conversation sort of happened organically, given some interest that I have in Montessori. I was actually in Montessori as a child, and I'm a big believer in the system and the curriculum. Some folks in my neighborhood who have been very passionate about Montessori. So a little bit of my background, I guess, if interested. I'll do very high level. I don't want to take the whole floor here, but my background that may correlate in terms of what you might be looking for in an individual. I've been in the technology sector for about 21 years. I own a IT consulting organization based here in Orlando. We provide a lot of professional services for both major organizations and small to medium size. Been in leadership, oh gosh, for about 15 years. Prior to starting this organization in 2019, I was fortunate enough to be an executive for the nation's largest IT consulting firm. And that enabled me the opportunity to move around the country, where I was able to build different markets, was in charge of all aspects of hiring, strategic direction, marketing, sales, operations, et cetera. So I'm a big believer in communication, communicate more, communicate often, big believer in servant leadership and collaboration, and hoping that my background may lend into an opportunity to help serve you all as well. So very happy to be here, Kristen.
Thank you, Scott.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Appreciate the introduction. Want to turn over to Kate. I don't know if you want to hop on camera. You can certainly hop over here and see if you can. I don't know if it might be just blurring.
All right.
There we go.
Well, hi, everybody. I'm here at IMO. My name is Kate George, not Kristen Chase, and I am an innovation mom. I'm the vice president of the PTO. I am also a business analyst. So I work in the education sector at the moment in higher education. I'm a former teacher, and in higher education, I've worked my way through several different departments. So I was in sales, I was in marketing, I have been in editorial developing and creating educational content, and have in the past few years transitioned over to tech myself as well. So I am now a business analyst, and I like to consider myself a professional problem solver and communicator. So I spend my days, critically thinking, solving process problems, helping mediate between stakeholders who are having troubles coming to an agreement on a certain solution. And I've been heavily involved at IMO since my oldest joined when he was 4, and now he's in 3rd grade. And I have 3 little owls at the moment here in 3rd grade, 1st grade, and VPK. So I love the community. I'm very involved. We're planning events all the time with the PTO, and Sarah will give you an update of our winter comings, which will be aplenty. So please come out and join us. And thank you so much for the opportunity to apply. I would be honored to be a part of this group that makes so many important decisions and does such great important work for the school. So it's a pleasure just to be considered, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. It's always great to have multiple people interested. So exciting. We also have, I do want to do a quick call out. I don't see her online. She may join at some point tonight, but I did speak with a gal, Shama Grimmage, and we had a great introductory conversation, and she has also sent along her resume and cover letter. So I'm hoping that maybe she can, if I do see her pop onto the Zoom, then I can give her a few minutes to quickly introduce herself if I see her here. So
Kristen, if I may, can you guys hear me in Zoom land?
Yeah.
I don't know, I didn't turn on my audio. For Scott and the other candidate you mentioned, Kate, I know you're very familiar with what we do here. Tours are on Thursdays. The sign up link is on the website.
Yes.
So please come join us. It'll give you a great way to sort of get into the classrooms and see what's going on.
Yes.
Sorry, Wednesdays.
Wednesday.
Be Thursday. Wednesdays.
Yes.
9 o'clock tomorrow, Scott. I'm sure you're free.
And I do believe that those tours are a phenomenal way to get in and really understand what is actually happening and what is that Montessori perspective and how we're just a bit different in our approach in a very, very good way. So yeah.
I know Scott will tell you that's exactly what I told him to do, was make sure you and your wife sign up for the tour ASAP.
Right. Thanks, Brett.
Absolutely, Brett, you did. Thank you.
Very good. All righty, so we will transition to our general public comment period. As a gentle reminder, we have guidelines around public comment for up to 3 minutes, and we can accept those now. If anyone wants to raise their hand or type their name into the chat, then you can share for 3 minutes, up to 3 minutes. There went my purse. Okay. As always, I say going once, going twice. All right, we have a quiet group tonight. And the other thing I wanted to remind this group too is if you ever need to go back and watch past meetings, another shout out to Stephen. He does a phenomenal job recording our meetings, and those are always posted on Board Docs. If you ever want to go back and get caught up on anything that we've spoken about, please do take a look there as well. So, all right, on to minutes. So the way that we do minutes, again, as a reminder for everyone's benefit, is that we typically just review the prior month's minutes at that consecutive meeting that follows and approve them. So right now you all have your October 10th minutes there for you. So any questions, comments, edits with those minutes?
Make a motion to approve.
I have one small tweak. It references acquired QuickBooks. We didn't actually purchase QuickBooks. Like we're setting up QuickBooks in Building Hope's process. We also were on them before. So I don't know if you quite how you want to word it, but I would just do a slight tweak to that to maybe say setting up our financials in Building Hope's QuickBooks.
Oh, thank you. That's perfect clarification. Thank you. Setting up our financials.
I'm good. I'd
And-
second the motion to approve those minutes with that clarification.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
Okay, anyone opposed? Okay, we are good on our minutes. I will make that amendment. And then for all of you listening in, you'll be able to see them as soon as I hit approve after the meeting. So, all right. Okay, Heather, we're going to turn it over to you.
Alright, so we're gonna start with some great things that are going on at both campuses. First, I have to brag on both of the plays. The middle school and the high school play, attended both of those, and they were phenomenal. Our kids are amazing performers. Lily Hastings did a great job with both levels. It's just over, and I know there were more staff than that, but if you did not get to see it, you were missing out. It was a really great time, and I think there's pictures that hopefully will start getting out, and we'll talk a little bit more about our website and that kind of stuff. Barnes and Noble Book Fair, it went really well. Kathy was chasing people down in Barnes and Noble.
May or may
Where's
not be an
sticker?
approved
Wait,
activity.
Hey,
Wait, we didn't ask about the
they had-
sticker.
Yeah, this sticker would look lovely with your outfit.
I'm sorry, did I get the sticker on you? I'm sorry.
So that was a great turnout, great seeing the families there. And then I know that Ariel shared with me today that there was a little glitch on our online code, but they were getting that fixed, and we'll get that out. So for all of you families that did not get to attend, please go online. I think those sales are until Thursday, so a profit of those, and I'm sure that may be shared somewhere else. You know, things are going smoothly, both buildings, both campuses. I'm gonna let the principals share out some of the great things that are happening, but I'm really impressed with our staff and our students, and especially the week before Thanksgiving, how things can be. So since Kathy, you're sitting beside me, you want to share out what's happening at IMO?
Yeah, I did. Again, also just want to thank everyone for coming to the book fair. It was really very well attended, and thanks to Angela and Chris and Michelle and everyone, all the artwork and everything was just great. Eileen Costello staying there the whole day. The whole day. And Nicole and Leanne also for coming to support all the teachers who came and did readings and sat and had tea. It was just a lovely event, and it was just nice to hang out. Like I was there for 4+ hours, and if I hadn't other appointments I needed to get to, I would have happily stayed. It was lovely. Anyway, thank you so much. For everyone who organised that, Eileen and Ariel and everyone. Then our the week before we had our historical timeline in Upper L, and we had our book characters and biographies in Lower L. Oh my gosh, guys, absolutely phenomenal. The presentations that the children put on, and it's just so great because they're presenting to other children, so it's less intimidating than there's a bunch of adults walking by. And it was just so lovely to see the children just really sit into themselves and present and get excited about the content at all the levels. It was absolutely wonderful. So yeah, we're doing great. Just a week until the Thanksgiving break, and then it'll be a quick roll into the wrap up of the first semester. Can you believe half of the year gone already? Yeah. So those are the highlights. And then Nicole, Eileen, and Leanna put together a really wonderful presentation on Lower Elementary, which they will show you shortly.
Jared, I think you're on there. I'm sure what that's
Yeah, thank you. Just a couple highlights for the high school campus as well. Heather already mentioned Romeo and Juliet, but I had that on my list too. I had a chance to see that show, and it was fantastic. Every time I go see one of our student performances, I'm reminded of just how talented our students are. And you can tell just in like how much like enthusiasm and passion they have for the performances. And I loved, in this case, getting a chance to see some of the tech side as well. So normally that's kind of off to the side or in the back. You don't get a chance to see those students. But from where I was sitting, it was neat to see the students that were in charge of the lights, in charge of the sound, and in charge of these different tech elements. Just really, like, you forget how important those elements are to the show. And sometimes you forget that there's like somebody that's doing that. So it was nice to kind of experience that and see not just the students who are on stage performing, but the ones who are kind of typically behind the scenes, and how much effort and time and energy they put into making that show so great. One of the highlights of the school year has become the Ren Fair. So on the 3rd, we took 120 of our high school students, which is most of them, to Tavares to the Renaissance Fair. And I didn't get a chance to go last year, but I did go on this trip, and it was such a neat experience. I had never been to anything like that before. And fortunately for us, Cindy Mainers is a participant in this Ren Fair. And the group that she's a part of does like an educational component, which was really cool too. And the students had such a blast. A lot of them dressed up for the occasion with their like medieval garb, and it was such a great experience. There were a lot of other schools represented there too. We actually ran into a couple of our recent graduates. I guess they decided they wanted to come and hang out with us some more. That was kind of cool to see those kids come back and hang out with their friends. Soccer season has started. We won our first game, 9-1, which is a pretty good showing. We have more games coming up soon. And then basketball will be starting here shortly as well. We have a preseason tournament that's coming up here soon. And then our thespian troupe, the high school thespian troupe, has district competition this weekend. So we wish them luck as they go and compete against other schools in our district, and then hopefully beyond to maybe regional or state competition. And then we have our fall feast in our November Community Day happening on Friday. And our students have done so much already to prepare. We have a committee, a student committee that is dedicated to planning our Community Day events. And they are, I tell you, they're working hard. They're working hard to make this event memorable and fun. and something that all of our students can enjoy. There's going to be a dessert competition as part of this community day. So I'm hopeful that I get asked to be one of the judges. So
Let us know if you need backup.
yeah, I'll let you know. But things are going great. Looking forward to the wrapping up this week, and then the last 3 weeks of the semester, and yeah, things are going great.
you. The next thing we had on here was the presentation. So I guess I will turn it over to the APs and let them share their presentation.
I'm just going to share my screen. Hi, everybody.
Hello. Thanks, Nicole. Hi, guys. We're excited to share with you.
Okay. Everybody see that okay?
Yeah, that's good.
Mhm.
All right, so we are going to start talking about lower elementary. We want to start, of course, by recognizing our amazing lower elementary team. So all of our teachers and teacher assistants. In Tesla, we have Alma, Lisa, and Vicky. In Da Vinci, we have Deborah, Jenny, and Melanie. In Anthony, we have Amy, Margaret, and Nicole. In Angelou, we have Denise, David, and Marlene. In Parks, we have Etta, Nicole, and Rocio. In Osceola, we have Sheila, Miranda, and Angie. And in Curie, we have Remy, Rocio, and Carla. So we have 14 lower L classes, and that's in 7 suites. So each suite having the 2 teachers and 1 teacher assistant. So tonight we are diving into lower elementary. And as we do that, we're making quite a shift from primary and from that first plane of development. So as these students are moving into lower elementary, they're entering the second plane of development. And during this time, children are experiencing significant cognitive, social, and emotional development. So the Montessori lower elementary classroom really focuses on providing a holistic education that caters to children's growing independence, curiosity, and social awareness. The key elements that make up these environments, we have a multi-age classroom. So we have first, second, and third graders in the same classroom. We have hands-on learning materials and a curriculum that integrates subjects to foster a very broad understanding of the interconnectedness of knowledge and of how everything kind of exists in our universe. Teachers are guiding students in exploring their interests, developing critical thinking skills, all while building a sense of responsibility within a very supportive community environment. So there's some hallmarks of this second plane, and specifically lower elementary. One is that we're moving into a phase where students have a reasoning mind and an imagination. And it really allows for the creative curiosity that we see in these classrooms. So students' minds have this ability to travel through space and time, and it kind of really opens up the whole world to them. And then we have these lessons that we give to start to answer these questions and start to fill in some of this information. So it is a very big transition for our students, for our families, as they're moving from primary to lower. So student interest there's still an opportunity for that, but at the lower elementary level, it really becomes follow the curriculum. So students are given presentations based on their grade level with an open lesson policy in each classroom. So that means if you are a third grader and you have a favorite presentation that you had as a first or second grader, you're allowed to go back and revisit those. If you are a first grader that you hear about third graders doing something that is of very high interest to you, you of course are allowed to go to those presentations also. In this plane, students are developing that sense of justice and really exploring boundaries. So physical boundaries, moral boundaries, and they are encouraged to work through problem solving, especially in the social nature with the friendships that are being created in the classroom community. There is this awareness and consciousness of interconnectedness. So when we spoke about primary, we talked about how they were very much intrinsic and kind of, it was a lot of what am I doing in my own growth and development. And now in lower elementary, students are ready to explore, beyond themselves and to figure out the role that they play in the world. So it's exciting that we have these beautifully created environments to support all of this growth that they're doing. And one of the favorite parts of everyone's week is peace education. I think it's also something that makes our program very unique. Of course, we talk about grace and courtesy and kindness, but this peace education curriculum we have, it really brings peace to life. So in our classrooms, we have peace areas, and those are some beautiful representations in the pictures that you can see there. A lot of times there's pillows, sometimes there's timers. Some classes have cards that students can read that have affirmations on them. So it really is a space to go when you want to calm down, you want to take a break. It's highly encouraged that students use that. And it is something that students use throughout the day, several times during the day, because we know that it's important to take a break and have that space to just center yourself back before you're going on to some works. So we think about peace as an ongoing practice. It's something that we don't just achieve once and we're peaceful and we never think about it again. It's something that is truly embedded into the way that we speak to each other, the way that we act when we're with each other. And what's wonderful is we have these specific parts of peace. So we have problem solving, effort, acceptance, caring, and enjoyment. And this is our acronym. And all of these parts are emphasized daily through conversations that we have with students. When I taught in Upper L, our students were creative and they made bracelets that had each part of peace. And in morning meeting, they enjoyed giving those bracelets out to people. And you could see throughout the day, if I saw that Miss Nicole was working really hard on the work, maybe if I had the effort bead, I would then go give that to her. So along with our peace curriculum, every classroom does utilize it in their own kind of creative way. But a unifying theme that we all have is these peace ceremonies. And you can see in one of our pictures, we have a chain that's created as groups in the classroom meet together. People are able to recognize teachers and students for practicing these specific parts of peace. And then this visual representation is created throughout the year as the chain grows bigger and bigger. And it really allows for conversation about, you might see a lot of enjoyment. That pink bead is very popular, but the acceptance bead, the yellow bead, and they are color coded. Sometimes in a classroom, maybe you don't see as much. And then it sparks the conversation about, what does acceptance look like? And how is that something that we could practice in the classroom? We also encourage families to utilize the same language. So instead of, good job, wow, I noticed that you used a lot of effort when maybe you were helping us, with the dishes or the laundry. Or we know that sometimes, of course, sibling fights arise or sibling differences, and maybe there's a lot of problem solving that has to be used as you work out those differences. So we highly encourage for that language that we use at school to also be used at home.
All right, so Eileen referenced the shelves a little bit earlier. These are some examples of the classroom shelves that we have in the Lower L suites. They are set up by subject area. The students know, and they learn this in primary also, that they are getting a work from the shelf once they have a lesson on the work. So they have a lesson, the teachers explain how to use the work. They will go to the shelves, get the work. The students are very gentle and careful when they're carrying their works. The way that they do it, it's almost as part of the lesson. They're carrying it over, they're setting up their work rug. It's part of the prepared environment. They know to go back and put it back the same way that they found it. So it's ready for the next person to come and use. So we have a lot of different libraries in the classrooms. Ariel, shout out to you for the classroom libraries and what's been going on there. So the children have the opportunity to go read some books, and you know, they really take pride in their environment, and the Montessori shelves are such a core piece in that. We also have the jobs. So the children love doing their jobs. They many classes have different job charts in the classrooms, just depending on how they're displayed. Every classroom does run a little bit differently, but they love to participate and vacuum and clean after lunch. They wipe down the tables, they vacuum the rugs, they set up the classroom for the next day. Line leader and caboose are really big in lower elementary. They love being the line leader in the caboose or the door holder. Those are pretty big jobs to have, but that is something that the students take responsibility in the classroom and help maintain their classroom environment.
Awesome. And I'm going to talk now a little bit more about our work that is happening in the classroom. So another really important part of our Montessori classrooms is that 3-hour work cycle in the morning. So students come in and there might be a morning meeting, but then as soon as morning meeting is over, they are getting right to work. So here are some examples of some independent work that is happening in our classrooms. We can see the geometry shelf, the movable alphabet and cursive is being used. We have our stamp game, and we have some of our biome map work. So students are given presentations, as I described, and that is the lessons that they have to go to. After those lessons, there's usually an element of choice. So that will be 2 choice works that teachers will assign. Sometimes one choice might have a little more of a creative, artistic flair to it. Another one might be more writing or problem solving. And so students really do have that element of choice there, which follow-up they want to do. And our follow-ups are always due 1 week after the lesson. So if I had a math lesson on a Monday, and then I would choose my follow-up, I would have that whole week to complete that follow-up, and it would be due before the next math lesson. Next slide, Nicole. And so one of the big differences, again, with primary and lower elementary, in primary, it was a lot of very, individual lessons, a lot of individual working. Lower elementary is the time that we see collaboration, because these students are social. They want to work together. And in this collaboration, they are doing more problem solving than you can even imagine. And they're learning about what working together means. Even if it's just a partner, I'm going to take on this part of the work, you're going to take on that part of the work. If it's a large group, then we're learning about all the different roles. We know as adults, working together is something that we all need to know how to do and have that skill. And our students are learning it all the time. So they love working together. They love being social. We see that we have an opportunity in our beautiful environment for some students to work outside. And you can go to the next slide, Nicole. And we just have more collaboration. I think we just love to see our students that are so happy they're working together. We have our bead chains and our stamp game. We have more students working on our decanomial box. We have research that is being done. So that's what's so beautiful in our classrooms, is there's always a lot of different work happening. And students in this lower elementary, in the second plane, they want that big work. They want the challenge. You can see the 45 layout or the decanomial layout. The students just honestly rise to the challenge, and they're really excited about the big work they're doing. So one thing we talk about a lot is, instead of the good job, when students finish this really big work, we're saying, you must be so proud of yourself, because we really want them to take in and to feel what it's like after you have completed something that's challenging. And then that work, that feeling they have, just really motivates them into the next work that they're going to do.
The last couple of weeks, we had some pretty fun activities. Kathy touched on this a little bit earlier. The Storybook Character Day for lower elementary is huge. It's something that they work on for a couple of weeks. They choose a story. They really focus on the character in the story, and they have the opportunity to come into school, dress up like their character, share with their peers. They have a little board or a presentation that they set up. A lot of the students also have a little start timer so that, you know, somebody comes up to them, pushes it to activate them and get them going to start talking. So they just really enjoy putting on this for their peers. Different classes come in and visit, which is really exciting for them too. So this is a fun way for us to, we do it on Halloween. So it's a fun way for the students to dress up on Halloween, but also bring in their characters into the classroom. And we just had a really great in-school field trip for the lower elementary students. They participated in STEM activities. It created really a lot of opportunities to problem solve, work together, take risks, work on different activities that would be then connected through the rest of the year. So all of their lessons with science and different concepts that they'll be working on with gravity, buoyancy, weight, and surface area. As they're working on those cosmic lessons through the year, they can reference them, and they just had a really great time working on different activities with the people that came onto campus to support the teachers in that. So they had a really good time. And here are just some pictures of the students making their paper roller coasters. Okay. We wanted you to hear from our students what they think about lower elementary. So I'm just going to play a little video so you can hear from their perspective.
Oh, I don't know if we can hear the audio, Nicole.
Reshare with audio.
You can't hear it?
No, did you click that button, Nicole?
I did.
When you share your screen, you did?
Let me try again.
Guys, we have to work this out because this is so adorable.
Okay. Let me problem solve.
Sharing and trying.
Yeah.
Maybe stop sharing and try and reshare.
Yes, I can do that.
Security is set. Okay. Is there anything you can change?
No pressure at all, Nicole.
Nope, none. Cool as a cucumber here.
We had a great time making this video, and we know like it's going to be more impactful to hear from the students than it is to hear from us.
Oh yeah.
Although in fairness, you guys did a good job.
You guys are doing great.
I wonder if I should just do this. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna try to do something else. Share my screen.
You guys have watched those videos often enough, you can probably just do dubbing.
Yeah.
Hold on. Okay, can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, let's try this. Okay. Can you hear it? Okay. So
Nicole, I just emailed the video to Kristen. Maybe she can share it from her end.
Let me see.
okay.
Hold on.
Learning a lot tonight.
I can try to share it too.
Let me see. Hold on. And that might not look open. All right. So you pull it up. Verifying link. Okay, I think maybe this will work. And then if I do full screen, no, hold on, I need to go back and share. So if I go more,
Is it a share menu?
share screen, and I want to do the
Share sound.
from
sound.
We are all experts on that now.
share sound, check the share
Optimize for
sound,
video.
optimize for video clip. Optimize, sure, why not? Let's optimize. Okay,
help you
share. You are screen sharing. Okay, good. Are you all seeing this
Yes.
for
Yes.
those of
See
you
it?
on the?
Mhm.
Yes.
And then I'm going to hit play and hope.
Just may take a second for it to pop up.
Hi, Niam. What is different about lower elementary versus primary?
There's a lot of hard work.
And what do you like best about being in lower L?
They give me lots of challenging work on math because I like to challenge myself with math.
Hi, Camila.
Hi.
Can you tell me what is your favorite thing about being in lower elementary?
Well, my favorite thing would probably, I love multiplication. I love the classroom that I'm in. I also love my teachers.
And what do you think you will miss most when you go to upper elementary next year?
Yeah, my teachers too. I will also miss the guinea pigs that I have in my classroom. But I'm excited to learn new stuff up in Laurel.
Good morning, Jameski.
Good morning.
So can you tell me, what do you like most about being a first grader?
I like it because it's always making me happy that I'm always I'm always getting good work.
Morning, Liam.
Good morning.
Can you tell me what you enjoy most about lower elementary?
Is that we have a choice of what we want to do.
And can you tell me what your favorite works are?
The US map. The color boxes. The bead chains.
Perfect. One more.
Snake game. Hi.
Can you tell me what you enjoy most about being a third grader?
I love the lessons, they're challenging, but also they're really fun. Third graders get a lot of privileges and you're the oldest. So that's what I really like about being a third grader.
Well, what will you miss the most?
My friends.
Hi, good morning, Bailey.
Hi.
Can you tell me what you enjoy most about being in first grade?
That the lessons are fun and easy, and sometimes when I think hard, I play school at my house and I do the stuff that we do here.
Can you tell me what the biggest difference has been for you from primary to first grade?
Primary's lessons are hard, and these first grade lessons are easy.
Hi, Mason. Can you tell me what you love most about lower elementary?
Doing my number work and going to recess.
Can you show us your number work? How many numbers are on there?
1,039.
Wow, that looks like big work, right? Awesome. Hi, Harper.
Hi.
Can you tell me what you enjoy most about being in lower elementary?
Learning about all the fun works.
And what's your favorite work to do?
Small bead frame.
Why do you like that work?
Because it's fun and you get to use these beads.
And Harper, what do you think you're going to miss the most about lower elementary when you go to 4th grade?
My friends.
Thank you. Hi, Joshua.
Hi.
What do you enjoy most about being in lower elementary?
That you get to be with all your friends and your favorite teachers.
And what do you think is the work that you really like to do?
The maps.
Why do you love the maps?
Because you get to trace and like you get to trace them and you get to label, get to know all the names of North America or South America.
Hi, Mabel. What do you like most about being in lower elementary?
There's different works.
And what is your favorite work to do?
Vertebrates and invertebrates.
Why do you like that work?
Because I can trace 2, 3, or 1 card.
And what do you think is different about lower elementary than primary?
In lower elementary, we don't sleep, and in primary, we do sleep.
Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah. Great. Okay.
Well done.
So fun.
Thank you guys. I know Liam and I probably don't love interview voices, but we had such a blast interviewing students. Of course, there were several more, so we had to kind of narrow it down. We just thought it was such a joy to hear, you know, from the students, just what their favorite parts are. And you can just tell how they enjoy the works and really how special and connected they feel to their classroom communities.
Love that.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
Awesome
Yeah.
job.
I had a couple questions if you don't mind. I just wanted to ask you guys. I know you mentioned we had the 7 suites and 14 classes. Where is that on our long-term growth plan? Are we maxed out at that point? We're full in lower L now, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we're full.
Because one of the things I was gonna know was like, I just looking at the staff that you showed the pictures of there, I gotta commend you guys on the, you got some really quality Montessori leaders there. The retention of that staff has been great, because I know some of those faces have been on there for a long time, so that's fantastic. The other quick question I just had was, I think if there was one thing that you guys felt like you need, or is, you know, on your wish list of things from a lower elementary perspective, like what would that be?
For me, I think professional development for students that are neurodivergent. We definitely have quite a population of students that have needs in lower elementary, and I would say that the teachers, you know, are fantastic and doing the best that they can, but always learning and having good understanding about you know, really what can be done in the classroom to support some students and their unique needs, I think would be something that we've been talking about as an administration, and just something that we really want to implement and support our teachers.
Absolutely. I'm thinking the exact same thing, Nicole. And Brett, to your point, you see like Miss Etta, teachers that we've had there for such a long time.
Miss Amy.
And Miss Amy, we were, I think, right, exactly. In lower L, we had
it's a bunch.
Yeah, we did not have any turnover at all in lower L. So I think that really speaks to the teachers, you know, want to be here. They enjoy being at the school, and we are so lucky, because then it creates such strong classroom communities to have that consistency.
Yeah, I think it certainly speaks to you guys as leaders too, that they're still here and, you know, have been with us for so long. So thank you guys.
Thank you. I would definitely say the success of our program is the teachers. Like, and Brett, that was a good call out. You see a very stable team of teachers who know all the kids very well, you know, and you see that.
Cool. Thanks for the update, guys. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. We're happy to.
All right. So the next thing was our big rocks. So before we get into the website update, just some things on our action plan. I know the board has access to the actual document, but so you can look at that for specific details. I know we talked about instruction. You know, we've met as admin and talked about math instruction and that kind of being our focus for action planning. And we will be starting second round of testing.
End of November and after winter break.
Yes.
Sorry, end of December and after winter break.
Yes. So that'll give us some baseline to, well, actually we have the baseline. That'll give us some data to compare, to look at growth and then determine next steps. So instructionally, that's kind of been our focus. I know I've also met with Nicole a few times on MTSS and working through a system for that to ensure that we streamline that process. And then high school, I met with Jared and the two APs and talking about the merge. And so you can kind of see some of the ideas that we have. And so tomorrow is actually our second meeting with the middle school and high school staff, answering some of the basic questions that they had and putting out that information. And then a survey is going to be launched to parents right after that to obtain questions from them. And so then we can put out a document to share some of the basics and then start having parent meetings, those sorts of things. And would love to, if we could strategically work it out in the spring, that middle school actually shows up at the high school so we can run through a mock plan of drop off, the schedule, and pick up to ensure that we're ready for the next year. And so that's our overall goal. So you can see the specifics in our action plan for that as well. One of the big things that we wanted to tackle was that communication piece. And so one of our missions was the website, updating the website to ensure that all of the required components are on there, but then it's also, you know, to promote our school. And then also on top of that is our Facebook page. And so we did start a new Facebook page and you'll kind of see that link as well. So Stephen, do you want to fire that up and go through it? Do you want me to? How do you want to do that? So Stephen was the mastermind that put it all together, like my vision all together, and then we got everybody else's opinion. So
hi everybody. Heather, I will let you walk through it, but I just want to say, you know, I think what we had before took us to a certain place. I think Heather definitely came out with a great vision that's going to streamline what we're doing and make it easier for our staff to find things, our students to find things, and also our parents and our community, you know, to really be engaged with it and see all of the great work that our teachers and staff are doing. So I definitely think it's a great product. Looking forward to adding to and changing a couple things. But I'm excited for the foundation we're starting off with.
So like Stephen said, this is just the foundation. So definitely input to whatever suggestions you all have, we'll definitely take. First, I'm going to say these are not our students, and we know that. So we were looking at having not professional pictures, but somebody that has some knowledge other than me just taking it with my cell phone. So we are working through that. I know some have already been sent to Stephen, so that'll be our next thing, is getting pictures updated, you know, having like a little slideshow here with our students. And then also, you know, pictures here, and then you'll see on each page. Kind of what I looked at was all of various charter schools. I was just going through like what was easy to navigate on their page, and then Kathy sent me what those requirements were for Florida and the charter school. So that's kind of how this layout came about. So you can see, of course, it's just our homepage and then our about. And a lot of this information, there was a lot of good information on our other page. It was just a little hard to find. So we have our different planes there, our governance page, and again, so like we'll have Here's all of your all's lovely pictures and
And we
bios.
need to add new photos.
We do need to add
Okay.
photos and all of the information that's required to be on there, the welcome packet, all of that. So you'll be able to see at a glance who we are and what we're about. So, you know, Kathy did an excellent job wordsmithing all of this for us to ensure that, you know, anybody coming to look at our school knows about our Montessori program. The next section was the whole child. So that was that whole piece from anywhere from academics to behavior. And so you can see one of the requirements is our school improvement plan. So that is listed on here. But then again, we have instructional, and some of these are going to be built. So you can see some of it is just pending. But here we'll have our instructional policy that has to be up there. That will be where I'll link to all of our media information as far as the like the books that we have in our library. So Ariel is working this page with us to ensure that we get that right. Of course, fast testing, and it would just take you right to that information. The piece on restorative justice, and again, we'll have pictures of our kids, but what is restorative justice and how that works in our building. And then of course the required parent liaison. And then we have school life, and that will take us to everything from attendance to athletics. Again, here's forms so parents could fill it out right there. So they're not having to search for those things. The lunch program, Brittany worked through this to ensure like that order lunch forms are there, everything about our program. Look, she actually updated her picture.
real
She
pictures,
was
yeah.
on it. I guess it pays to know the IT guy. And then and then our code of conduct again, and then athletics. Brandon is working through that, but we want to make sure we have all of the paperwork that a parent would need for athletics. Then the student portal, this was something we did not touch from before. These are just quick links for our students so they can go straight there and find the links. Enrollment, and so it talks about our CASA program, our K-12, visiting our campus, so all of the links that they'll need. We did have an employee or staff member interested in doing a drone video and updated, so you know, letting that be on our page so they can see both campuses. And then how to get involved. And so there is a link to our PTO, donating to IMO, those sorts of things. And so I know Marissa has already worked with Stephen on getting that up and running so we can have it ready for launch for Giving Tuesday. And then again, here's just more information. You can see we have our bios. We still got to update some pictures there. Parent request, student request, records form, all of those things that are required. But again, the goal was that it would be at whoever comes to visit our page, their fingertips of knowing everything about us. We'll have the resource page that will link to all of our policies and those sorts of things. And then here was just some fast facts about our program. And then we'll have, again, maybe that drone video or something, some type of picture there. And then quick links, you know, our accountability information is out there because that's something that has to be posted. So this again is just a startup to getting to know us and about us. There was a link.
And may I ask if that support IMO button, does that go to the fundraising page?
Yes.
Very nice. Okay.
So yeah.
I love that.
And it'll go straight there so they can do that. And then there was also a link somewhere to our Facebook page, and
they'll go to the homepage. It was on the
homepage. Okay.
Yeah, I saw that Facebook logo there.
Yeah, right there, the blue
and
button.
YouTube.
Okay.
Oh.
It's right there.
Oh, it's over by.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm like, there you go. So you'll be able to see this is our new Facebook page, and again, all it says is to being compromised. So we wanted to wait until the launch of the website, and so then now we'll be able to start monitoring and posting all of the events and great things going on at IMO. So, like I said, Stephen's done an excellent job, but so everybody, they've gotten the information to us just to kind of make it easy for families. Anything that you see that you think, oh no, we need to fix that?
think this is very informative. Very nicely laid out, very nicely done.
So we're not keeping where school pay, where is that at in the?
That will be different, yeah, so it's different places, so you can go like lunch, and there should be a link. I don't see it on there, but we'll have a link, so I'm glad you brought that up, that they can just. Oh, there it is, it's under order, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yes,
Yes, I'm hearing.
yes. So,
And Heather, it's also right at the bottom in the footer too.
oh,
Thank you.
yes, it's in there too.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I love that picture.
Oh, so,
The benches with
oh,
the,
yeah.
I don't love that picture.
Yeah, I know. That will have. Yeah.
I think this is huge. I think it looks amazing and way, way enhanced in terms of communication and clarity and where do I find
Functionality, way
resources.
more functional.
I mean, just light years ahead. I did wonder, is there anything we know about what people visit on the site today? I mean, are there hot links that we think that really need to be front and center of, and school pay is probably a good example. Obviously knowing that, you know, we're not following the current site structure anymore, but
Right.
are there things that people
Right.
are always looking for?
Right.
I imagine the attendance might even be one of those.
I mean,
they
I
want,
think
like,
about
a quick-
attendance,
quick
school
button
pay,
too,
I mean,
yeah.
just from a parent
Parent
perspective,
perspective.
but.
I'm gonna, I actually have the link for attendance. Stephen sent us thinking that it would be a good one to share with parents. I'll have it in the newsletter tomorrow for attendance.
Okay.
Just for
Mhm.
people reporting sick
Yes.
kids and stuff.
Yeah.
And I wonder if there's a way to, you know, all of the wonderful information we see each week in the newsletters, right? I know you all work
Link it
very
here.
hard.
Our weekly newsletters. Come
If
back
there
and
was a
do
way
it.
to somehow archive that
Mhm.
here or just, you know,
Yeah.
even show the current one or something.
I love that
I'm,
idea.
Yeah, I
I'm
love
guessing
that
maybe
too.
there's a way you could interconnect those somehow,
Yeah.
just because if you
Although the
don't
only
have it
thing
in
is,
email.
if we had a parent portal, maybe, I do think a lot of that information is stuff to share
Maybe not
within
broad.
the community.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
Could you do a link to Parent Career, but you still have to log on?
Yeah, I think Stephen has that
Okay,
on the
on there.
bottom, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe if
Oh,
it's
it
just
is,
go
it is.
to through
Yeah,
Parent
it says
Square,
important
then
link.
fine.
So
Yeah.
there you go. And the news button will take you straight to Facebook as well. So, but as you go through it, there's things that you see, and same thing to our parents out there. If there's things that you see, like, hey, that would be helpful. Again, it's a great start, but we know we want to continue to expand upon it. Just let us know.
So I'm sorry, I'd step away for just 1 second. Maybe you said something about this, but looking at the site on a mobile device doesn't seem to be mobile responsive. I don't know if that's something, Steven, you guys have in the works.
So Brett, the mobile design will come. The focus was to really get the desktop version in time for Giving Tuesday. So as we start to kind of build upon that, optimizing it for the mobile will come.
I don't know what analytics you guys have, but I would bet the majority of the traffic that you get on the site, probably even today, is via mobile device. I know pretty much everybody's pulling up the stuff on their phones versus desktop. So I would have designed for mobile first.
Friendly, Brett. I'm on it right now, no? Like I'm able to get to everything pretty easily. What would be the difference there?
Normally it would shift its form factor. Right now, the menu still, you have to zoom in to get to all the menu options.
Okay.
It doesn't have like the collapsible mobile friendly menus that you would see. You would see like these, all of the columns would be organized in a more linear fashion. Usually these,
Right.
I don't know where you're hosting this, Stephen, but usually they have it out of the box as a feature to select, like, do you want this mobile responsive? So
yeah, they did. It's actually hosted and powered by Wix. And what happened was when we launched it, I didn't realize how much of it was not aligned properly. So I went ahead and turned that off rather than have a subpar product until I could really look at it and make sure that we were capturing the vision that Heather had. As far as your traffic, you're right. When you take out the traffic from the students themselves, obviously those are using desktop browsers.
Yeah.
but we're about 40% on our mobile traffic. When you exclude the students. So I think that is something that will come, it's a project for me next week as we're off.
Yeah.
I'm not going to guarantee that, but I do think mid-December we'll have something that, I'm pretty proud of on the mobile device as well.
Okay. Look, I think the site overall is a significant upgrade from what we had before. So definitely a great job, and I appreciate the vision. It's clean, the information's well organized. So don't take that the wrong way that I don't think it looks good. I was expecting, normally, like you said, these are out of the box mobile enabled. So if you've turned it off, that makes sense why.
Perfect. Yeah, it was a total team effort, like Heather said, and so many hands involved in this that, just providing information and input and design. I think we really did come out with a great product, and just a huge thank you from myself to all of the department heads who spent so much time getting it ready for us.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Nice job. Yay.
The next thing, these two will be pretty quick. You should see it's already linked, but the first one is, they required out of field, teaching names. And so one of the things, that I think from what I've read, not being here from before, but, that in the past you had 5 years for the, ESOL certification, the English second language. So, but now we have to post that on the website. And so this is the list. And so we'll have a link to ensure that that's up. But I want to preface it with saying the only reason they're out of field is because of this ESOL certification. And so that's something that will need to be voted on.
That's good though, because in the past we've had them out of field for other reasons.
Yeah, right.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, this is very, very normal in the realms of the state of Florida. Yeah.
Very routine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never dealt with that before, so that's first for me.
Yeah, a lot of the teacher training courses now include ESOL, so
Yeah.
people are just certified with it. But for those who didn't, you had to take the extra hours to get that certification done. So that's all that is.
Yeah, I have no problem making a motion to approve the current teacher list as provided for those teachers out of field for our ESOL certification, and to go ahead and approve to post that to our website as written.
And I'll second that.
Okay. Any other questions about that before we move forward? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, motion carried. Oh, any opposed?
And then the last thing on this section was the approval of a reading list for IMHS. That has been posted on the high school website. And these are new instructional materials that are required for classes. And so we did put it out for any parent input, have not received any. So we will need that to be approved as well.
Basically whatever the list as well, didn't see anything.
Yeah, no questions.
Any questions on that from anyone? You want to make a motion on that one? The last one?
Make a motion to approve the reading list as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, so the next thing we will need a vote on, but I do have on here, Miss Dana from Building Hope. Her and I have been working closely on redoing our budget for the 23-24 school year. As you recall, you approved a budget in June. However, there's some things that we've needed to adjust to ensure that the budget is correct. And so, Dana, I'm gonna turn it over to you and let you introduce yourself and then talk a little bit about what we've been working on.
Excellent. Thank you. Hello, everyone. I just want to say what an incredible school you have. I've really enjoyed all of the improvements on the website and the presentation today. And I was able to actually visit the campus as well about a month ago, I think. And I met with Heather for quite a few hours. So you really have a wonderful school. And always my favorite thing to do is like sit in the front office and watch the kids interact. And I think it was a spirit day that day. So it's definitely a good day to drop in. So a little bit about me. I have over 25 years in education. I've been a teacher for about 15 years. I've been a charter school principal. I was a head of school for an elite private school. I also was an executive director for Miami-Dade County Public Schools, and I led their district managed charter schools. So essentially, I was providing back office service to a portfolio of about 8 charter schools. And I also served as a chief financial officer for a network of charter schools in South Florida, where we had 7 campuses, 9,000 students, and almost 900 employees. So now I'm working for Building Hope, and I really have 2 portions of my job. One, I'm going to kind of plug the charter support unit. So one part of my role is the charter support unit, which I operate under a Florida Department of Education contract to provide professional development, technical assistance, and support to charter schools throughout the state of Florida. It's at no cost to schools because essentially we're operating under the Florida Department of Education contract. Another big piece that our group offers is a governance program, which I highly encourage you to look into. This is a deeper dive into the 2 or 4 year trainings, but we do an annual governance conference where governing boards can come out, meet with each other, and take really a deeper dive into the roles, responsibilities, and some best practices that charter school boards are using across the state. So I just wanted to put that little plug in there. The other piece is I do contract work for Building Hope in their services. One of my areas of expertise is really helping schools balance budgets, right? So as a school site administrator, I'm very clear as to how important programming is and how we must protect programming. But then I also have that back office side where I have to really balance out what are my revenues and what are my expenses, and how am I going to balance a budget while having the best academic program that we possibly could have. So Mr. Moreno had asked me to come out and brainstorm with Heather on some different ways that we can get the school up and running and be fiscally sound. So I really commend Ms. Clay and her team. They've worked many, many hours on trying to shore up the budget. And so just to kind of backtrack, what I want to explain is probably, aside from balancing budget, the number one goal that Ms. Clay and I have is to be able for you to pool a budget to actual at any moment and really see how the school is trending. So step 1 is getting a balanced budget. And step 2 is going to be, as we go through this accounting transition in back office, being able to clean up some of the transactions that have happened up to date, right? So it's really important that things are coded. And as we did the transition, we were lacking some details. So our back office team has been working very closely with Heather. So the goal is when you have a board meeting, a week prior, we'll be presenting to you a budget to actual so you can really see how the school is trending. What I mean, you'll see what the budget is, what you've spent to date. And for example, if your board meeting is in December, which is 50% of the school year, you'd want to see your expenses to be under 50%. If something is over, the board really should be asking some questions. So our goal is really to empower the board to make sure that you're giving good oversight to the school site and making sound financial decisions for the sustainability of all of your academic programs. In some cases, like textbooks, you'll be over 50% because those things are front loaded. But little by little, you just really want to have a clear, accurate picture of the financial position of the school. That's really one of the goals that I've been working through with Heather. I also want to remind you that this is a process. We're taking books from another entity, and now we're transitioning this to Building Hope. And so we'll be working hand in hand, digging really through the details, because my goal to you is to have really accurate data going in so that you as a board can make sound financial decisions. So I have worked with Heather to work on a balanced budget, which I'll present, but also moving forward, I want to share with you my budget process with Heather is really going to start probably in January or February, right? So as we clean up the books and we have clearer projections for the upcoming school year, we'll also look at staffing, right? My goal is always to make sure that you know what staffing should look like and your compensation, general bar parks by March. So when you are offering contracts to teachers early in the year, you know, you're not over-hiring or underpaying. And so we'll walk that careful balance of making sure that, you know, you'll have your staff in place and you'll really know the direction where you want to go for the upcoming school year. So we will continue to categorize transactions. And then again, like I said, our goal is to really have clean reports for you at each and every board meeting. And then also, you know, you should be reviewing the budget to actuals, the statements of accounts. And then I also recommend making sure you are reporting out on your bond covenants. The two areas that I see schools struggle with the most at times is usually it's 45 days cash on hand or the debt to income ratio. Those will be in your 23 audit report, which I'm working to get as soon as you have it. And so essentially what we'll do is we'll report to Heather to report to you where you are so that you stay true to your bond covenants. So with that said, I'm going to kind of show you a little bit of how the sausage is made. I believe in full transparency when it comes to sharing financials. So I want to show you a little bit of the process that Heather and I worked on. This has more notes than you probably want to know. But essentially what we did is step one is agreeing upon a chart of accounts, right? So making sure that the budget and the accounting chart of accounts are completely lined up. That'll allow you to pool those clean reports and really know how the school is trending. From that point, so Heather and I went through, we talked about what the chart of accounts should look like. And then we talked about, you know, what are the different streams of revenue. So we've been really unpacking that. Some things we have, you know, information from the state is easy to project, whereas other areas, Heather will really need to look at past performance to make projections. And that's, again, where it's so important to have that clean data because it'll help her guide her projections. From there, we went through with all of the expenses. What I do on these working worksheets is, you know, we started out with our actual salaries because that's what we have at this point. But then what I do is I create a worksheet that if there's any changes in staffing, that any cost associated to that teacher or staff person will cascade through the effect. So if you add a new full-time teacher, you know, your fringe and your benefits all will also increase with that teacher. So it gives Heather really the ability to work alongside her principals and come up with a staffing plan that will help balance the budget. As you'll see up top, any changes that they make will be reflected in the fund balances. I'll get to that in a little bit further. So from there also, not only do we look at staffing, but I create tabs for every single GL code, and that is so that her principals can really make projections, like what is the software that they need, what are the textbooks that they need, and they can populate all of these tabs on the back end, which Heather has been working with her team to not only look at what has already been spent, but projecting out what might be spent. So again, we can really have a good solid idea about what the budget should look like. So that's really where we are at this point. We created that working template. And now I'm going to share with you the budget, and we'll walk through line by line so that you have a good understanding of where we stand and how we came up with certain ideas. But there was one area that I wanted to point out that has been a bit of a challenge, and that is the debt service. So last year, the debt service was $882,000 with the capitalized interest fund. Last year, the school only needed to pay $482,000. There was a huge jump from last year to this year, and that is over $1 million increase in the debt service for the school. So with that said, Heather has really had to be cognizant of, living with what is left in the budget, because where we start is always carving out what I call those non-negotiables, right? Your debt service, your electricity, your water and sewer, the things that you have to have regardless of the number of students or staff that you have in the building. So we really started there, and I confirmed these numbers as well with Mr. Moreno just to make sure that it was accurate. And indeed, there was a $1 million increase in debt service from last year to this year, and you're going to have another bump in debt service in 26. So it's important to keep your eye on that. Once Heather and I really get a good grasp on budget and budget projections, what we'll do next is pull out a 5-year budget so that you can effectually prepare for any kind of increases that you might have. The other area of concern, as most people know by now, is that next year the federal ESSER funds are going to sunset. So it's important that we are cognizant and prepare for that. So this is the budget that Heather and I put together. And I'll walk through it line by line, highlighting some of the important things to take note of. Currently, you're being funded at 918 students, but Heather confirmed that in October, you reported 930. So at some point, there'll be a cash up, which will improve your cash flow as of right now. Every district is different, and the timing is never really consistent month to month. But I will see Kia Sweeney Scott, who is the district contact. I'm going to see her on Friday, so I'm going to ask when they plan to true up some of those FEFPs. So from there, what we do is we estimate. I ran the budget at 930 because I look at things from an annual perspective, not on a day-to-day cash flow perspective, because what I really want to guide Heather on is where she needs to be for the remainder of the school year. So from there, the FEFP comes from the statements, public capital outlay. This is the state's capital outlay. So this top part are really the state sources. And then Heather projected 230,000 for VPK program funding. And that is the VPK portion of from the state, not the private pay. So the federal grants here, we are waiting to get an amount from Title II. It's kind of nominal, but I still want to reflect it when we do get that number. And then this ESSER revenue is what has not yet been submitted for reimbursement. So this $808,000 still can be spent, but what I'm going to work with Heather, she is able to do an amendment to what was submitted, because what we'll do right now is to really look to offset what already exists within the budget. Our group has a lot of experience working with the ESSER grant, so we'll be able to make quite a few recommendations where you'll be able to offset your expenses, preparing again for that fiscal cliff that we're going to have next year. As far as local sources, Heather projected 778,000 with a VPK private pay, 270 in community service. I spoke with Mr. Moreno. We discussed the 1.9 million that you have in the reserve fund, and he predicted about $100,000 of investment income. So that's very favorable. We didn't project anything yet for gifts, grants, bequests. I do hear that you're participating in Giving Tuesday. That's fantastic. I always try to budget conservatively. Once we really see what those past trends are as far as your gifts, grants, and bequests, we'll definitely start plugging those numbers in. Or again, in February, if we have a better idea, let's say you make $100,000 in Give Miami, we'll definitely plug that back in there, because again, we always want Heather to have access to resources to spend. Other school course class, these are class fees. This is again these are the local sources on the FEFP. This is the special millage. And the local capital outlay has not been released. We're predicting it's going to come out in about February. Rich projected it should be about 150,000. Again, we're projecting pretty conservatively. Once we shore up some numbers, we might want to consider doing another budget revision in February so we can get a better idea as to where the school is fiscally. food service, and then rental income. So these are numbers either we confirmed with the state or I worked on with Heather. Any questions about revenue so far? Like, feel free to jump in. I can talk all day about this stuff.
What is the rental income?
That would
I'm
be,
sorry.
I'm sorry. That is CASA, what we would charge CASA.
What I thought. Okay. Cool.
Okay, and so in expenses, we have the classroom teachers. This is after Heather has done some revisions, because I'm going to actually scroll quickly down here. The two lines that we are keeping our eye on is obviously the net change in fund balances. But what I continuously recommend to schools is to pull out an additional 5% for your reserves, approximately 3% of operating reserves and another 2% for capital reserves. Franklin Academy had been in existence for about 14 years, and we started to get hit with those older buildings, $800,000 for a new HVAC, $1.2 million for a roof. So definitely it's important to pull those reserves out. And so the uncommitted fund balance, once Heather really gets her footing, I will recommend at that time to really try to balance that at zero. Right now, her expenses are not technically exceeding her revenues. She does have a cushion, but that would be without the reserves. So
you're saying if we add in the 5% of those reserves, that would take us to the negative 149.
That's correct. That's correct. So your straight revenues minus expenses comes to the 239.
Got it. Okay.
But again, always encouraging that 5%, because you just always have unknowns as much as you try to plan or prepare.
Sure.
If there's if she balances the net change at a zero, and there's, a hurricane, and you have, $40,000 worth of repairs to open your doors, at least here you're always going to have that cushion. So because my goal is to really empower not only Heather, but her principals in making these fiscal decisions, it's always important that we bake in that cushion to protect the interest of the school. So kind of jumping back up here, and the rest will go a little bit more quickly. We go line by line. We try to identify every single source, every single expense. I work with budgets across the state, so I'm quite familiar of what's upcoming, and so we were able to add and take away some things and merge other areas. And so essentially, I believe Heather and her principals have worked on these expenses, and it's all coded by GL code function, right? So you have instruction, then you have your special education, pre-kinder. These are the cost of expenses, because now we are going to roll everything into one. Student support services, this is your guidance counselor or school nurses. Professional development, this is your Montessori professional development. And school board, this is legal fees, auditor fees, any kind of trainings that you might have at a cost, travel, directors and officers insurance, and then your school administration.
$50,000 on professional and technical line at the board level.
Legal fees.
And
So that's
legal,
where all the legal fees go to.
yeah, and to auditors as
that
well.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
Audit and legal fees. In school administration, this line is really your principals and your assistant principals, and then this line here is your administrative support staff. And then again, these are all the fringe and benefits, and then these are the expenses that are projected. Again, Heather and her team worked on that. The fiscal services, the contracted services is merged right now. It's part Building Hope, but then also ADP. We have identified some cost savings by transitioning to a different payroll company. One I actually used at Franklin and was very, very happy with them. But you're locked into a contract right now with ADP. I know Heather's been working diligently. That cost, I guarantee, will come down quite significantly for 24-25. And again, one of the things that I can work on with Heather is making recommendations for areas of savings, because what I see is, you know, what other schools are doing kind of across the state. So I'm able to really share some of your best practices.
How long
the
is the
district-
contract with ADP? Is that through just this school year?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And then the district admin fee, that's the 5% that's required. One area that I have talked to Heather about, a goal that she should definitely set for her and the principals, is once the school becomes high performing, that goes from a 5% clawback to a 2%. So, you know, every little bit counts, and that's definitely an area that you'll have savings. And not only will you have savings in the district admin fee, but then you'll get the Florida recognition money, which is usually a nice chunk of change for a school your size.
You're saying 5%. That's 5% of what?
This is the 5.
CPS.
Yeah, that's required. That's written in charter statute. That goes to your school district.
Okay.
But that will be reduced to 2% once you achieve high performing status.
Okay. I thought we were already there at the lower percent, but I know you've been in the details, so I'll go off with what you've seen.
Yeah, they're still charging you 5%. So I basically just took it right off of the FVFP. Yeah, so we can look into that for sure. Food services, again, this 37,000 is the person who's on your payroll who does the food service, and then contracted services is what you're outsourcing. One thing that I did notice is your revenues. I mean, your expenses are exceeding your revenues. So one of the things that Heather said she's going to start looking into is unpacking, either increasing the cost of lunches or looking at different vendors to see if she can get some of those costs down.
What's the variance there? If you would scroll back up, so 172 and our revenue is how much?
149.
And so like 30K.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. 22K.
And next we have operations of plant. This is your maintenance personnel, and again, all of the fun stuff like telephone, water, sewage, school resource officers, etc. I want to just draw your attention to the difference between the 7,900 category and 8,100. The 7,900 are those regular recurring expenses, and then your 8,100 is really going to be reserved for if you project special projects. So let's say on your reserve study, you know that you need a new chiller plant. Hopefully you don't. If you need a new chiller plant next year, that's going to be reflected here in your maintenance of plant. Or if you, do annual waxing of the floors or these big one-off costs, really go into 8,100. I separate the two because it helps with projections, right? So when we're going to look at 24, 25, operations of plants is pretty easy to project because we're going to more or less look at like a 2%, 3% increase. Whereas maintenance of plant is really project-based and project-focused. So it, or if there's unfortunately a hurricane, and again, you have to spend $40,000 to get the trees cut and cleaned up. And if Heather exceeds that in her maintenance of plant, there's a story behind it, why that happened, right? We just didn't expect to have, a massive hurricane, and now you have that kind of cleanup. So I like cleaning those two categories up because it really helps tell the story of what's happening on your facilities. Next, you have your technology services. This is your tech support staff and all of their costs associated. I see I have a mistake there. I will plug that back in. And then the costs associated with technology services. And this last category, community services, that's your aftercare programs and any kind of enrichment or summer school. Those costs are reflected here.
How does that compare to revenue from that line item?
201 to,
yeah, let's see.
Even, I think. 250 something. Hopefully it's not.
270.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So, and that's where I see a lot of potential opportunity. Looking at the community that you've served, I've worked with schools that have really robust aftercare programs and are generating significant revenues from that area. So one of the things that I've also shared with Heather are some ideas, and that's something that she can work through with her staff. But there's definitely a huge opportunity. Sometimes we can't find areas to cut expenses or we don't want to, then I encourage schools to really look at, well, where are those ways to leverage more revenue and community services? Could be definitely a great aspect. I know I'm a working mom, I need somebody to, I want my daughter to be somewhere till 6 o'clock. It's even better if she's got robust after school programs, and it's definitely worth paying for. So that's an area that I'll work on with Heather. And then your debt
Looks
services.
like it's like a 30 something 35% margin on that. Like, is that normal, or do you think there's a bigger opportunity there? Or is it just a volume number that needs to get bigger?
Yeah, with a school your size, and again, the demographics that you serve, there's a lot of opportunity there. And so we can definitely think of some creative ways, and I can share some models that have worked in some schools where they're really pulling a significant amount of revenue from the after school programs.
Cool.
Go ahead, please.
And then last but not least, we have the debt service. This includes not only the bonds, but also the loan on the solar panels. And so those are baked into here. So essentially,
Both of those are in the interest line and the principal line. They're just both combined in there.
Both
Solar
of them
and
is
bonds. Okay.
Yeah. And then we have in our working worksheet, we have the assumptions page. So really my goal too is just to get all the information onto one working document, so it's easy to reference and you could see the breakdown on the back end of what those assumptions look like. But sometimes people don't want to get too much into the weeds, and those are just notes or that we could share or in meetings. So essentially that is the budget that we present to you today. Once this is approved, then our back office team will input it into QuickBooks. We still have quite a bit of cleanup that we're working on the back end. Again, things were not clearly coded, and so we're having to do a little bit of forensic accounting so we can really unpack and figure out what some of these revenues are, some of these expenses. Like one example, I'm looking at it right now, there was in revenues, $266,000 in miscellaneous revenue. I mean, that's a lot of money, but we have to really kind of peel back the layers of the onion and figure out what revenue that is so that we are categorizing it properly, and then we can project things to come more accurately.
You good, AJ?
Yeah.
No, I have a couple items. So first off, thank you very much for the detailed explanation, and thank you, Heather, for the effort. And from what I can tell here, it was really getting the foundation set with what's coming in, what's going out, right? And I have a much clearer picture. So I look at this, we have $11 million budget, and let's say, obviously we have a surplus, but our objective is 5%. It's a 1.3% shortfall we have for that, which is a very small number, right, on a $11 million budget. The way I look at that is, which is great. So now that we have it cleaned up, I'm assuming the next part is to go through these expenses line by line from an RFP standpoint with like every vendor, everyone we engage in, right? Because if I look at just from an expense standpoint for 1.3%, I assume that that's on your to-do list, right? Because you spent so much time kind of getting it to be clear where you want. Is that fair to say?
So, so to go ahead and talk a little bit about that, I have already sat down and went line by line. So on all of our expenses, on vendors. So those are true numbers. There are a couple like supplies projections. So for example, on instructional supplies, it's 5,100, I think 310. I looked at what we've already spent, and then I said, okay, what would we need for the second half of the year? Even went through Amazon, because we used Amazon like it was going out of style, and before it was just lumped into one code. So went every order since July 1 and redistributed to what code it should. And so making sure that I could say, okay, I know for sure on miscellaneous supplies, and equipment, I knew exactly what was going in there. So those are the things that we've already done. With this, getting it down to the 140 something, that is with personnel cuts already that we're gonna have to make. And so to get down the other 142,000, it'll have to come from salaries. Because we can't change some of the operating expenses that has already been put into place. Now, next year, like ADP, for example, we pay ADP $168,000 a year. Definitely can look at, unfortunately though, through this process, I found that we signed a year contract instead of the 30-day renewal. So June 7th is until I can do that. So those kind of things, to be able to cut, like vendors, I won't be able to do that yet. Now we can look at like if something breaks to get the best quote and those kind of things. But as far as cutting programming, like supplies and stuff like that, there's nowhere else on those lines to cut. So it really will have to come from staff.
Sure.
And so with this budget, it's about $100,000 in salary reduction already, maybe a little more. So if we get it down to 0, it will take more salaries to do that.
How much more do you need to get to 0?
I think it was 142,000.
That's with the reserve, that 5% of reserves.
Yeah, and with cuts already, right?
Yes, with cuts already.
Is there, you know, I know we talked a little bit about the revenue side after going through this. Do you or Dana think that between now and the end of the year, there is an opportunity to grow revenues that, you know, I mean, we put a lot of time into this, right? But now it's like, okay, do we need to put some time on the revenue side? Is there an opportunity that we, you know, could cover that shortfall between now and the end of the year? Yeah, like
If we even got our student supply fees paid.
I was gonna ask
I know, and I was shocked about that.
We have
yeah.
got $30,000
I
in student supply fee.
On the old budget, so the one approved in June, we projected that we would bring in $88,825 in student supply fees. And we've 30,000.
30,000.
And on our, short.
30,000 short.
And what
of
is
that.
I couldn't believe that
like-
when I saw that in the newsletter. I didn't know that.
What's the collection process of like,
You parents just have to go on by themselves and to school pay and do it. There's not like a, you know, a process that was sent out to them. All right, here's your thing. Your
But
individual,
Yeah.
right? It's
It's almost like it's
a-
almost like a head worth of one head count worth of.
Yeah.
We are trying, you know, we've identified and trying to send out
Yeah.
reminders and those
Okay.
kind of things,
Yeah.
but we are gonna have to put a system in place
so
for
you,
next
so
year.
you know,
You don't get your schedule until you pay your
Okay.
supply
Yeah,
fee.
who's
so you have
paid, who's not.
visibility of who hasn't paid.
Yes.
You do,
but
okay.
Trying to track them down. I know we've done that, but I do think, you know, it's not that I'm trying to sound ugly, but you know, we don't offer, or we don't ask for supplies upfront. Whereas if you go to any other school, it's
You would have spent the $100 at Target.
right.
Yep.
Just
Per
give us the
child.
$100 and then you didn't have to go to Target.
That's pretty poor.
So
And clearly we need it.
yeah. And so I think when we talk about that, that's a position that we're gonna have to cut
Yes.
because we're not, you know.
It is a position.
So those are the things, the other things are little things that I am looking at. So for example, school pay. So we're projected to pay them a $23,000 fee just in the service charge. So, you know, we're bringing this money in, but then we're turning around and paying the 2.9% per 100, you know, I think. So
Shouldn't that be set up where the parent, whoever
Well,
uses it pays it?
that, yes, but I think we've always done it where we covered it, but it's gonna be things like that. So, you know, working with even the companies that we don't have to do that. So those things I do think we have to look at to say, okay, we have to bring in revenue. How do we do that? What does that?
Because they could use write a check, you know, to
Mhm.
submit it and then there's no fee, right? So
Absolutely,
there's
yeah,
an
you could
option
do
to
it.
Yeah, I think
pay
just
for it
being-
without a fee.
It's just
Submit.
a little more creative and transparent when we're asking for these particular fees, you know, or items from parents, right, with their students, like, hey, this is why, you know, our budget's on our website, this is how we operate, blah, blah, blah. But I think might be, you know, I think this is great. I think it, you know, I feel better with seeing at least we have a movement for now for the rest of the year, but maybe, what are our 3, 4, 5 top revenue generating items? And, that has to be a focal point, every month and in a board meeting for us to really, and I know you are, like, don't get me wrong, but now we're like, okay, what are next steps for us to
Right.
get some momentum?
So we shifted our focus on, and I know you'll share a little bit about, but the plan giving. So one of the things in our ESSER grant was $50,000 for opening a library here, a media center. So shifting that focus, and Marissa will share a little bit about that, that could we ask the plan giving to cover that, so I could use some of that ESSER to cover salaries, to offset some of that. So to kind of play around with that money, so parents will still know where the money is going. It's not just operating our building, but at the same time, it will say culinary, same thing. We had $50,000 in the ESSER budget for the culinary program. How can we offset that through plan giving, where then we can use that other 50,000 to pay for salaries for this year to get us through that deficit.
Yep.
And so that doesn't have any plan giving money allocated, because I hate to go off of what we went off last year or what we budgeted, because they're not true numbers.
Sure. Two more questions. It might be for Dana. Did you say that we are working on then a 5-year projection? Is that right, Heather or Dana?
I would. Once we really shore up our numbers and get confident, which is going to come once we kind of clean up, make sure that, because again, it's difficult to make projections based on last year's numbers because it doesn't align with where we are right now. So I'm always very hesitant and always very conservative on pushing forward. So what I would recommend is there's a few more numbers that are going to come in. We should have things definitely cleaned up by January, and then revisiting it and seeing if we want to do another budget revision and have a clearer picture. But we're going to work really hard and fast to try to get these reports ready for you. Hopefully by your next board meeting, so you can start seeing what the budget to actuals look like, and we can talk further on kind of where you should be looking. Because the other area of concern is making sure, again, you're meeting your bond covenants, which is days cash on hand, and your debt to income ratio, which I think the biggest concern right now is the days cash on hand, because payroll is very high.
And then do you have, maybe it's been shared in the past, but do you have benchmarking studies with other schools in similar nature of ours from a staffing standpoint that we can look at?
Yeah, I do. And I can share that. I did share that with Heather. Again, because I work with so many school budgets that I really build it out based on actuals, and I don't have to rely like on public records request. So I have quite a few schools who are the pre-K through 12 model, and serving a similar demographic of students. And so I have shared that with Heather to drive some of her staffing recommendations. Again, as a teacher and a school site administrator, I have fought with the finance teams to preserve my budget. But it's, we're also operating a business, and we have to make sure that there's sustainability in the organization. And I would, you'll be able to operate, preserve your program, even with these cuts that Heather has unpacked with her principals.
And last question, sorry, but I know the SRR funds, right, this year, and then going into next year that the grant runs out.
Mm-hmm.
So what are we doing then? $800,000 is a lot, right? So obviously we're focused on this year and getting everything tightened up, but what's kind of the plan forward for next year with that?
So as Dana had said earlier, we'll start building that budget in January, February, and start looking at how do we restructure even, some of the things that we offer to make up the $800,000. Yeah.
There'll be some favorable increases next year in the states. There'll be a capital outlay increase. So there'll be another 10% on top. That's going to be slowly phased in. You got an additional 10% this year 20% next year, 30, 40, 50. So there will be increases in capital outlay. So that's going to be favorable. And then, you know, again, keeping an eye on your local referendum money and millage is really important. That charters are included in that. And that's been incredibly favorable for charters this year. But again, this would be a good time too, like you said, I would say like low hanging fruit is taking a long, hard look at your after school and summer school offerings, and seeing creative ways. You know, I've seen, you know, some, you know, parents paying for the 5 days of the kids staying in like aftercare, but on top of that, paying for enrichment programs. So let's say you have a teacher who teaches a chess class, you can pay extra for that. You can pay extra for a robotics, you know, they have Lego robotics teams or Odyssey of the Mind, and all of that is gravy, right? That's extra revenue because you already have the building, you already have the insurance. So the expenses are very nominal to operate an after school program in an existing K-12 program. It's just thinking creatively of ways and empowering and really having the right person in place to manage that. That is definitely an area that you could increase your revenue, especially based on the community that you serve.
I'm good. I appreciate both of your detailed explanations. Thank you.
I wanted to say thank you, Dana, for both all the work you've done with Heather, as Heather's been giving me updates over the last several months now. It's been nice to hear the things that she's coming back with, saying we're working on this, we're working on that. I'm like, yes, that's exactly what needs worked on. I've been in the details of these things. I wasn't in the details of this one, but I was very pleased to hear that the right details were being looked at, and the work that you guys have done to transfer it to your standard coding that you have, to understand what you have, to map all of it. And I really appreciate the run through, because I knew I had some anxiety about it. I was like, I know I will have no ability to do justice to all the work that you guys have done to present it to the rest of the board. So I really appreciate you walking that through in such detail and so thoroughly.
Thank you. That's what we're here for. And I really want to commend your school leader. I also work with lots of executive directors across the state. Heather has been incredibly responsive, very, very thorough. She asks really good questions. And so I just want to let you know, you have a very strong school leader, and a good idea about the big picture and finances. And that's not always the case in what I see. So I love working with Heather and her team. They're fantastic. So it makes everything easier, and you can have full faith and confidence that she's really going to drive the school in the right direction.
Well, thank you for helping her learn all of it on the way there. She admitted to me today, she's like, I've learned a lot more about finance than I was expecting to. But yeah, I've seen her. She's been a very apt pupil from what I can tell. So
she is great.
Thank you, Dana.
Thank you. So we just need the budget approved.
Any questions from the board before we move forward?
I think you answered my question, like kind of what did we have to do to get to that budget, but you kind of talked about it through his question.
Yeah,
so I'm good.
Yeah, very thorough. Thank you.
Yeah,
no questions.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the amended budget as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Thank you both, Heather and Dana. I know this hasn't been easy.
And then I can't go any further without thanking Lily. I'm surprised she hasn't ran away yet. No. I don't think she's signed up for this. So I have to say that anytime I call her and be like, can you get this report? And Alicia. So yeah. Appreciate that.
Okay. All right. So Philip, did we have anything else on finance, or did that round us out for tonight?
I think the only part that I would highlight, just because I know she presented a whole bunch of information and, like I said, way better than what I would have, but just to capture those goals that she touched on, which is that, you know, the next step is bringing this budget into QuickBooks, so that way it can then map up against actuals, and then creating a standard reoccurring deck that will come out to the board every month. So probably won't see it in our board meeting because like usual, the turn time from the close of the month to our meeting, with it being that second Tuesday, is a little bit fast, but you'll get it shortly after the board meeting. And Dana, you can, I'll let you be the one to say, no, Kevin and Raphael can absolutely get it by the board meeting. Try to keep that. So with that, that deck of financials, you'll be able to see the actuals. And those are really those key takeaways. And then Dana will still be working with Heather as we go into budget season next year to be on top of this, leading it, and all the work that they've done to standardize the coding of this will really help them be able to benchmark across other schools, map what things are doing, as well as being able to put those projections straight through from what we have. So just wanted to pause just to highlight that in case you guys, that was pretty early in what she talked about, but it's the next steps. It's not the important part, it's an important part of all the work they've done.
And I did share with you, Kevin was able to get the month-end report early. Actually, he gave it to me last week. It's not due till the 20th. So I know that may not mean anything because that's OCPS's form and those kind of things, but at least you'll have it for October. So that is on there just for you to look at.
It's that same report that we had last month. A reminder, balance sheet won't tell you a whole lot. It's harder to take balance sheet to where you are. Your income statement has more information because the budget that's in there is not the budget that Heather and Dana just overhauled and team. It's the older one. When I look at it, I'm really looking for where are my revenues coming in, where are my expenses coming in? Are we way over in one area or another? Also, the mapping and recoding that they've done create some variances in sections. So I think it's in its current form, it's more helpful to look at the total of the categories as opposed to getting caught up on any one individual account.
Yep.
Really expecting, the reason I highlighted those next steps, right, is that clean financial deck and those reoccurring financials is because Building Hope's team, they need to load that in, and then they'll be able to get good information back. So don't grill them now on what those reports look like because they've done a whole lot of work to get it to a spot where they're just probably, I'm anticipating, weeks away from getting us what we all know we want to see.
Okay. Sounds good. We're going to head over to PTO. Sarah.
Hey guys, that was a fun meeting.
Sorry, coming on.
No, that was great. Thank you for all the updates. PTO is obviously always here to help with any fundraising goals that you guys may have. We are always on board to help promote the library as well. Just listening to the meeting, if you guys are looking for the Facebook, if we could have some access to do cross-posting for our flyers, that would be great. We could turn the comments off, but just so we can have like one more place if you'd like to announce our flyers, that would be fantastic.
Sarah, just email me who I should add, yeah?
Oh yeah, I will send that over. She's fantastic. And then so this week we've got a big week like always. We're always keeping ourselves pretty busy, staying out of trouble. We're hosting the faculty feast at IMHS tomorrow. Like you said earlier, middle school and high school people are going to connect, and then we're having a chili and taco bar and desserts put on by the IMHS team. So that will be wonderful. Thursday, we have our Parent Connect hike in the morning at Oakland Nature Preserve, weather permitting. We did make a backup rain date of the 30th of the month, just in case the forecast is calling for a lot of rain. That afternoon, we're going to have a spirit event at Panda Express. So that one has a huge window of time. So you can go from like 10 in the morning until 7 at night. So make plans with your friends. Nora wants to say hello, order out, join everybody. That's
He's famous now on the board.
Order out. It will be really fun. When we get back from break, we're going to have our community closet shopping event. So we're just going to do a standalone event. That way people can come and shop the community closet for winter clothes or if their children have grown. So we'll be really excited for that. December 5th will be our PTO meeting. So join us there, learn about all this stuff.
But our big event coming up is going to be our Winter Wonderland Festival. So this will be our chili cook-off, so get excited. And then we're also moving all of our student vendors. So we normally have them at the Arts Festival, but this year we're gonna pivot them to our Winter Festival. So if you are a student or you're a parent of a student that has their own business and wants to have a vendor table, we put the application. This little girl's working on her slime labels for her slime business she's selling. So that'll be really fun. And then after the winners have been announced of the chili cook-off, we're gonna pivot outside for our free family movie night. And we're gonna be selling hot cocoa and we're gonna be showing Home Alone. The Safety Patrol will also be joining us. They're gonna be doing a bake sale during the chili cook-off. So it's like all things our winter event. So that will be fantastic. And we're really excited for that. And that is our PTO update.
Awesome. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
And that was December 8th for the Winter Wonderland, right?
Yes, I posted it on Facebook, or I mean on Parent Square today. So the link is live. There is like a vendor application for students just so we can keep it very organized. It's free to have their students there just so we know who's coming, what kind of supplies they're gonna need.
Sounds great.
Thank
you.
Something to look forward to.
Oh yeah, always a lot going on.
Thank you, Sarah. Okay, so let's see, committee updates for us and also checking on our board goals and how we're doing. So I think that we're doing some good efforts there with regards to succession planning, cross training. I did want to see if we wanted to talk. Philip, did you have anything to share about your future plans or anything that we need to pencil for future agendas? Just teeing that up a little bit. So,
I mean, if you want to pencil it in now, you could pencil. I'm in my mind with where the budget's gotten to, the progress they've made. I didn't want to exit while we were in that transition. So at the same time, I still work in accounting, and January 1st, I get to work on January 1st this year. I was like, oh, that's not so fun. So it's launching my year end. So with that, I've kind of penciled in, at least in my own mind, to exit late December. That would get all the way through finance committee and all of that. But still leaving that kind of up in the air a little bit, just to make sure that it's in a solid place. I think that's what you were looking for, right, Kristen?
just kind of when we should anticipate, yep, just for planning
Filling the
purposes.
position spot in the December schoolhouse meeting then.
And would that be transitioning off the board completely?
Yeah,
Okay.
That is my plan.
Okay. And for my purposes, I will be transitioning to some role other than secretary, as in a member, at some point in the spring. So I have to determine when that will be, but
Okay.
I would love to stick around for a couple more months after that to assist anyone who would like to step into the secretary role. So that would be great. So we can plan for that. Maybe February is sort of what I'm thinking right now, but
Okay.
haven't finalized yet.
With a full on exit planning
June.
June. Okay.
Yeah. June. Mhm.
Okay. And then we've got 2 spots to make sure that are filled. One by December and one by June.
Mhm. So with that in mind, we will be moving along our candidates of interest for further conversations. We have a process we follow, making sure that they get a chance to talk informally with a number of board members one-on-one. So I'll make sure that you all get connected with those folks. Obviously, if there's an active committee that needs help, I think of the grants committee. I know there's a lot going on there. So Marissa, I may get you connected with them for some further conversations,
Yeah,
just to
one
help
did
out.
join the last meeting.
So, okay.
Yeah.
That's great. So then we'll just continue along and decide, if we feel that we want to move forward with formal interviews. Obviously we have the reference checks and all the other steps that we do as well. So do we have timing
I know, that's what I
around
was
some of
thinking
this,
about.
given the possible changes and,
Yeah, because that would drop us down to, we'd still have the 7 in December, so then we would need to implement a 7 in January for starting. Right, we'd have to vote in
Mhm.
January, sounds right?
mhm,
A 7 and potentially an 8.
right, right. So that's fairly quick.
Yeah.
Well, maybe a little quicker than perhaps we've moved in the past. But again, the process is basically just, we've sent along resume, cover letter for you all to see for the 3 interested candidates. Again, we typically just have
We
some
could,
informal connections and,
schedule, can we go ahead and put something on the schedule for interviews?
I mean, if we want to go ahead and just, decide at what point we want to conduct interviews, so we
Yeah.
can get those scheduled.
Yeah, I think that would be
Um,
helpful, just knowing our timeline.
And then we just need to decide, do we want to move forward to interview all of those candidates?
Yeah.
That's where we usually take a couple of months to kind of have some informal conversations and see who has firm interest, so.
And if you need timing, from like Kristen, you make a good point, right? Stepping out of the treasurer role removes a lot of what I'm involved in. If you need numbers or you're wanting to kind of keep it stabilized a little bit longer, I definitely could be easily talked into extending the actual exit date, but still transferring treasurer role in December, maybe.
That may be helpful, Philip,
Yeah.
just for a little bit of continuity. At least that's
Yeah.
kind of what I was thinking is, step down from the officer role,
Yeah.
allow a few months, and then
Mhm.
officially roll off from there so that you can do a little handoff
We can
training.
move to add a new treasurer, vote a new treasurer in December. And then add a new board member in January, at least one,
Mhm.
potentially 2. So
Yeah.
that would give us, at least we could use January as the timing piece,
Right,
right?
so we would add the officer vote for treasurer
I'm sorry, January.
in December. I know it's cold in here. It's
that
never
was
cold
hot
in here,
and-
but it's cold in here now.
Oh,
So we'd
Lord.
add the officer vote for treasurer in December, which is
So we get to
basically
it,
then,
yeah.
Philip, we're possibly taking up your suggestion here of doing that transition from officer that month.
Yeah, that would work.
Okay.
After 6 years, it's hard to say like, oh no, and that's the end. You're like, well, I mean, what's a few more months? But
Oh,
Yeah.
Um,
And then
typically-
January for a new
Maybe
member?
would be the 9th of January with, that second Tuesday, but I would propose we extend that to maybe at least the 16th, just because.
Yeah,
they'll be
or
back to
I mean,
school
do you
on
want
the
to,
8th,
do you want to
January
do
8th,
it
like,
in,
go back to school.
Yeah.
Back on that.
Yeah.
that
so
whole first week of January, everybody's off.
Yeah.
Potentially, we can maybe move it
Excuse
to the 23rd for that month, I don't know.
And actually move the meeting, yeah.
Move the meeting date to January 23rd, and then that would give us an additional week, then we could hold the interviews the week of the 16th, right?
Mhm.
Do the interviews that week, and then potentially vote somebody in the week of the 23rd, and that would give us time in between then, now and then, to do conversations individually.
Mhm,
Does that make
mhm,
sense?
mhm.
I see lots of nodding.
Anybody have an issue with January 23rd being our board meeting in December? I mean, sorry, January.
No, I'm good.
Does that work?
Is that okay for Kevin's schedule of his meetings?
Oh, gosh, what
Remember,
is he? He's
let's see. He
can't
has
remember if it's
every
second
other
or fourth.
Tuesday.
like,
So what is today? Today is the,
But he's in that commissioner meeting today. As long as we
He
have a
hasn't.
quorum.
yeah,
And we would have 4. And potentially Brett. That would give us 5.
right. So maybe
I
interviews the
think we
week.
still go move forward, schedule them. And he could then be at one of the Tuesdays, gonna miss one of the Tuesdays, but then the next Tuesday. he
Yeah.
should make it.
mhm.
Whether it was the interview week or the.
Yeah, the only
I'd
thing
really
is-
like him in on that week personally, more so than the vote-in week, but.
On the interviews, yeah,
Yeah.
right. Just a note that I think January 15th is the MLK day, I believe. So
It is MLK.
we wouldn't do anything on that Monday. Is everybody around the week of December 16th? Everybody that's on the meeting, that's a board member?
I say try to keep it on the 16th, potentially the Tuesday. We could do something that Tuesday evening or something.
Is it December or January 16th?
December, January.
No, we're talking about January, yeah. So I think the only thing that's happening in December is that we'd be voting,
For
that Philip
treasurer.
would be stepping down from treasurer and we'd be doing a vote
Mhm.
for a new treasurer in December. And do we have an idea of candidates for
Yeah, I was
that?
just thinking.
We could
is there
discuss
any-
that.
I think we have an idea of candidates.
Okay, good.
Okay. We're limited on numbers in the room. So we have a potential secretary candidate in the room and we have a potential treasurer candidate in the room. And he's been attending finance
Okay.
committees a little bit, getting in, asked some great questions, I think, this evening, you know, to get to know it. I think the financial piece is in a different state now, to be honest, with having Building Hope come on. Heather is, you know, with them line by line, looking at everything with the team, and it's just not the same. It's not the same kind of walkthrough that the previous treasurer has had to work through, right? Like it's gonna, a lot of that is
Yeah.
going to be so much more clear. It's gonna be on QuickBooks, which will be specific and detailed. And really, it's the whole board's responsibility to maintain that piece. You know, we just need somebody in there for finances to also maybe ask good questions, right? And make sure that we're doing what we need to do. And AJ always does a great job of asking those questions without like knowing all the details, but seeing what we're doing and where we need to make some improvements. So I think it's a different kind of treasury role than what has been in the past. I don't know.
Well, we
Would
have a
you
great
agree
new
with me on that?
resource. Well, we have a great new resource out
Yeah.
now with what Building Hope is providing.
Yeah, I mean, I think I like the framework of what I see, right?
Mhm.
Because I don't think a board treasurer's job is, their
No.
job is to get the high level overview. And so I think we're getting that framework in place, and
Yeah.
I'm not an accountant by trade. So I would not be that, you know, type of individual, but so I'll have an answer before
Yeah.
the next
And
meeting.
to emphasize or to expand on Stacy's comments as well, I very much feel that same way. That's one of the things I really like with the Building Hope team coming on, with Raphael and Kevin. They're both there to have more answers, right? So they'll be bringing more insight in, than the last several years has been a different ball game in a lot of ways. And that's, yeah, there's a lot of complexity that comes into the transitions of this year. But I like the direction of where it's going, and it'll be a good spot. You can bring those questions in and have people that can go get you the answers, without you adding a whole bunch of anxiety and stress to them.
Yeah.
Yep. For sure.
I mean, is there anybody else who wants to put their name in for a potential treasurer run?
Is it very well paid?
Tacos every fourth month.
I think I saw Kevin's missing today. Doesn't that automatically get your name slipped in when you're absent?
Well, he
great
likes, he
treasurer.
does like to be paid in tacos. Yeah, he does love tacos. Right, so. But that will, we can make that an agenda item in December and take care of that unless there's a hard objection against it come December.
All right, so an officer vote for treasurer in December. Interviews the week of the 16th in January for a new member, a vote on the 23rd of January for a new member, and I will add an item in February for an officer vote for secretary.
Sounds perfect.
Sound good?
Sounds perfect.
Okay. Great plan. Look at us, succession planning, excelente. Now, we were talking about committees. Now, it's been a lot of work on committees.
Yeah.
So we probably want to just turn over to committees. Updates.
Sure, okay. So a couple things. We are getting ready to go for Giving Tuesday. Heather kind of teed it up that we changed direction to help support the budget. And so I added some updated like communication flyer stuff in the board docs. But just to kind of first give a shout out to the volunteers, Miss Suzanne Brenham and Mr. Caleb Stimmel have been helping with this. So this has been a good collaboration with board, PTO, and staff. And we will focus, we've always had two focuses, one for this campus and one for IMHS. So we're switching to Miss Ariel's nonfiction research library books for our IMO. And that has a goal of $30,000. And then for IMHS, it's Miss Lily's culinary program and also some outside benches. Apparently the kids sit on the curb currently, so that would be a nice upgrade for them, and that has a goal of $20,000. We also have Nicole Manuel Walls from the PTO, who's working on a press release to hopefully get picked up as far as our Giving Tuesday. It's Giving Tuesday is like the launch, but it is starting the cycle of annual giving. We also got Wawa to give in-kind donations of 250 hot beverage coupons. So we've been, and I wanted to kind of run this logic past you guys, of the morning of Giving Tuesday, having people each main campus. I'm familiar with primary, which is the easiest one because the parents get out of the car. But we wanted to have something to draw them over to hand out flyers on. You could see the flyer has like the QR code of how to instantaneously donate. But just kind of tell them a little bit about like what we're raising the funds for, that it's one time or monthly, etc. And then we have those 250 coupons to also distribute. I guess it gets a little trickier on this campus for the car line and IMHS. But if we're just handing out paper, I don't know how we feel about doing it in the car line and just, you know, giving it to parents.
We would just need some volunteers.
Can we just blow that up and put it on those those big signs as well and put it in the car line that those two couple of days for that week? You know what I'm talking about? So if we just were to get a bigger copy of it and it could fit on one of those outdoor displays, and we could just move it where the parents, as they're parked, pulling through, picking up kids, could see it too. And and then they could just screenshot it, right? Like from the car, they get there.
Yeah, the QR code will take them directly to that.
I'm having flashback memories of when we used to paint the windows on the old school. So you'd come around, we had all those painted windows, and then sometimes there was PTO walking through. And even though the parents didn't get out of the car, they can roll their window down and you can give them a little flyer or, you know, some fanfare and excitement.
Yeah,
it's been a while since we did that, but you know, as you were talking,
the car
I was,
line.
I was like, right, that's how we raised that percentage of dollars, was we had a lot higher level of energy and enthusiasm.
Right.
That was kind of drawing in everyone. Even if you just drove through the car line, you were seeing the enthusiasm.
Yeah.
And then the window paintings stayed up for a week or two. Kathy may be like, yeah, no, that's not coming back. Or she could be going, oh, that's a fun idea. It's been a while.
I spent enough time in that car line, Philip.
There's all those new windows on the new car line this year, right? Like you can actually do something with it.
That's true.
Yeah, we're definitely going to do obviously the parent square and the Facebook page now that we've got the Facebook page, but we wanted something that was like, oh, what are they talking about? Like something that stands out.
Yeah, no, that's
and especially on Giving Tuesday feels right.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, we needed some volunteers. Seeing if the board had time on Giving Tuesday morning for half an hour, an hour. I was hoping to get like 2 people at each building, right? So 2 people primary, 2 people. And I don't know, you guys let me know if that's not
You could
enough.
probably use more at this car line. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Because
we think
we have
like
20 cars stopped at one. at
Oh,
any
Giving
one time.
Tuesday, is that the 21st?
it's the Tuesday after Thanksgiving. It's like the 28th.
Okay.
You may only need one.
I was going to say the high school. I could probably handle the high
I
school.
can do pick up and drop off.
So Suzanne is good for the high school.
Oh, she's
so
gonna
you
cover- okay.
Could
I can
help her
come in.
there, or I guess I need to get a better awareness of
I'll do
the-
main campus.
Okay.
I'm not bored, but I'm happy to help. Perfect.
Awesome. I'm good with primary.
Right, I can help you here. Yeah.
Right, so.
Okay, so whoever can help, if you could email me and I will kind of get a little schedule, that would be great. I'm also gonna think about printing And like you said, Stacy, posters and
Poster
flyers.
size to go
For
up.
the A-frame sign,
Mhm.
when you walk outside tonight, just along the front of the building, you'll see one that has a PTO sign on it. That's a good, that's the size we need.
Okay,
I'll show it to you.
okay,
I can probably find out.
okay, okay, thank you. Yeah, so we are, I think that's the scoop so far. I think we're making good progress.
Great.
We have the main website links to these pages as well, right? Because
So we got that connection, yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So the random Zeppies are hard to keep track of, but now they can just go to the school site and donate there as well. Also, if those intimately involved could donate ahead of time, we could get the little bar going so that when parents first see it, they can see, oh wow, people have already donated. That also helps from a psychological standpoint.
Have you thought about a Facebook event for donating?
Yeah,
We've done that last
yeah.
couple
So you can
years.
do on Facebook specifically, we can do an event that they can then share from our Facebook page. So this year we should do it from our actual Facebook page, but it's on Giving Tuesday specifically. So I mean, I can set that up on the Facebook page. I've run it in
So the
past.
Zeffie allows you to share to Facebook as well.
But it's a so that they can share.
The Facebook event.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a Facebook event.
Yeah, and then it's like, who do you want to donate? What group do you want to donate to? And you
Mhm.
designate that IMO is the group. But it's sort of like Facebook's Giving Tuesday
Mhm.
event.
Okay.
Mhm.
That's
So,
the best way
I
to
mean,
say
I'm
that,
happy
so.
to create it if I get access to Facebook.
I would happily make you.
Boy, everybody's gonna be admin on the
Everyone's
Facebook.
an admin this time.
No, we're gonna get locked out of the admin. Boy.
I don't want to be in a rainforest getting messages that my account has been compromised.
I know. I know. Oh, God.
Yeah, I'm happy to create that on there.
Okay.
With your flyer stuff.
Because there's usually a lot of activity on Facebook with that Giving
Mhm.
Tuesday stuff,
Yeah.
and then everybody's, oh, I want to donate to something, and
Mhm.
oh, how can I just donate to the school?
Okay.
And then
they can
that
share
is-
to their group, their social media,
Yeah,
right? Like so
it's
then
generated a fair amount of money in the past. So
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Cool.
would suggest that we haven't done it.
Okay. So that's the annual Giving Tuesday update. Any questions on that? I'll cover grant writing as
great.
well. So the grant writing committee met for our second time on the 10th. Just want to give a shout out of those volunteers. Suzanne Brenham again. Amy Simpson joined the group. Ariel Schmidt joined the group, and Shama Grimmage was on there as well.
Okay,
And
and
she
she's
was
our
the other
interested board
board
member.
member.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
okay.
So we have, we are very excited to get Amy, because she
Mhm.
actually does write grants. So that's helpful. So she kind of, gave some great insights. We have an ongoing grant tracking spreadsheet that we're sharing internally. I know Ariel already populated some library related grants that you guys have okayed, and so they're going to pursue, the application process on those. So, yeah, so that's shaping up nicely. We're gonna have a rhythm of meeting every month on that. We're looking at like the first Thursday of the month, and I will let you know.
Yeah, let me know. I can
Yeah.
put it on the calendar.
So that's the updates on the fundraising front.
It's great.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. Okay. Let's see. Anything else? Stacy?
Yeah.
Final comments?
I think that's it for our committees, but I would like to just take a moment and make sure that our community is, if they didn't hear it so far, they hear it one more time, and it is recorded in the minute that we are requesting our families and our communities look at the financial impact they have on our school as well, right? So if you have not donated for your parent supply or your student supply, right, we're missing $30,000 for those donations. If you have donated, then maybe you want to sponsor another family who's struggling right now, and that would be another aspect, right? So you can also do that to support that need in there as well. But we really want to look at what we can do to support this school that we love and that we want to see grow and flourish. The other aspect I wanted to share is in March. Yes, the Montessori conference is coming to Orlando. Our school is going to be one of the tour schools for the conference, which is going to be fun to let our students and staff be showcased in that manner. But I know that we also have some staff who would really love to go. It is about $600 per person for a teacher to attend that conference, right? You heard those budget numbers tonight. We've got to look outside of our current budget to support teachers who are wanting to attend this conference. If you know of yourself, of a company, of a friend who would love to sponsor a teacher to attend this Montessori conference where they can increase their knowledge, their own personal depth of what they do, then please reach out. We will be posting more information on this as it comes. Probably next month, maybe even putting out a little bit more information to the community on how we want to go about doing this. But I did want to just put that on your radar that we are looking to have our teachers sponsored. And so the plan for us right now on this is to go ahead and to take requests from our staff, our teachers who want to attend, but cannot financially afford that amount on their own, of course, right? That's a lot of money. So we want to look and take a request from them that they will fill out, looking at what things they want to attend, at what growth items they're looking to personally research, and what trainings they're going to attend while they're there to improve themselves professionally. And then the board will take those, and based on how many sponsorships we are able to provide, then we can send those teachers who have submitted those requests. So the board will be happy to kind of look at that and be that outside source to try to help funnel those funds, kind of thing. So keep that in mind. If you're a staff member and you want to go to the conference, then maybe start researching it, looking at it, what would be beneficial about it. And then if you're a community member, we are looking for sponsorships. So even if that's something that your company would like to do to sponsor that piece for the staff, think about that, because that would probably be a nice tax break for a lot of companies too. So it's about $600 per staff member. Okay. And I think that is all I had for this evening. I hope everyone has a wonderful Thanksgiving with their families and enjoys that time together. I hope our staff gets some downtime and relaxes and enjoy their time as well. And thank you all for attending tonight on this very lengthy but very informative board meeting for the month of November. Have a wonderful evening, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Well,